Hello YouTube, this is Dark633, and we're taking a look at another Transformers review. This time we're going to take a look at Transformers Titan Returns Deluxe Class Autobot Hot Rod with his Titan Master partner, Fire Drive. Now the original character was actually a Target Master with his Target Master Fire Bolt, but it seems like Hasbro has once again not been able to secure the copyright to the name, so they had to change it to Fire Drive. Not like it really matters, since he's, once again, no longer a Target Master. We're going to take a look at the box. The box is pretty cool. It's got a pretty good look at a CG artwork designed for Hot Rod. It shows his vehicle mode along with his Titan Master. The back, it shows a bio as normally, and he transforms in 12 steps, along with a few more cross promotions. So we're going to move on to the actual figure itself. The figure itself is extremely well done, in my opinion. I think he looks a lot more like Hot Rod than he ever has in the past. And Hasbro did a fantastic job in designing the figure to make it look like the character, except for one issue. I have a problem with this figure, and it's originally, I thought the shoulders was the main reason why this figure looked off to me. Until I realized more closely, it's the fact that the spoiler is a little bit too far down. For most of the Hot Rods we got over the years, even characters, or should I say versions of the character that we got over the years that are not the G1 toy as well, the spoiler piece was a little bit higher up on his back, but unfortunately for this particular version, it's a little further down, so one, not only does it cause the shoulders to be more prominent, but it also doesn't really look that right, since you really can't see the spoiler until you look at it from a top angle, and I find that very distracting. As a comparison, here is Hot Rod next to some of the older versions of Hot Rod, so we're going to start quickly with the animated version, which is a little bit taller than the Hot Rod we see here. It's having a little hard time balancing, but there we go. So it's a little bit taller than what we've seen here, but that's still pretty cool next to it. Next, I'm going to take a look at it next to the Protector Armor custom add-on kit with Classics Hot Rod, which is kind of surprising that he's only just a little bit shorter as well, even to this particular version of the add-on kit. And then finally, here he is next to G1 Hot Rod, which is the Target Master version that I got many years back. I forgot exactly when I actually got it. But he does scale in pretty decently. We're going to take a look at the articulation and some of the actual looks more closely. Now, first, articulation-wise, the head is on the standard ball joint. However, the head itself is pretty restricted due to the way the design of the entire chest area is. So unfortunately, you can kind of only look left and right, and when you try to make him look up, it only causes the headmaster to pop out, and that's pretty unfortunate. The shoulders are on ball joints with a hinge inside due to transformation, so you do have a little bit of movement there. He's got swivels at the elbows, along with the standard elbow articulation there. Pivots in the hands, but that's mainly due to transformation. He has full 360 waist. Ball joints at the hips with a good range of movement. It can also move forward and back pretty good. Swivels at the thighs, but he can't really go 360 since the mushroom peg kind of stops the leg from there. A single knee joint. And feet can pretty much do nothing. It does fold in due to transformation, but in this mode, once this entire mechanism gets locked, you don't really have much movement there in terms of articulation. What's actually kind of interesting is if you actually take the G1 Firebolt, while it doesn't exactly fit in the most perfect way, you can kind of make him hold on to it. And that's mainly because the fact that the arm guards get in the way of the actual hand itself, since the peg is a little bit too short. But if you do it right, he actually can hold it, although he doesn't really hold it very securely, and I actually find that kind of disappointing, since I try to test out the Titan Masters with some of the older Target Masters that I have, and it seems to have fit pretty nicely, but it wasn't until I realized that the the arm guards get in the way of the actual weapon, and I find that kind of disappointing. You can actually plug the weapons together, and that's really nice. It just kind of goes in via these two pegs here. Once you plug them together, you have a larger weapon, so that's pretty cool. You can also store the weapons on the side if you wished, which will also reflect on vehicle mode as well. And if you wanted to, we're just going to take fire drive of Hot Rod. So we're going to look at him more closely for the transformation anyways. And he will be able to sit on the gun itself. But first, we're going to take a look at fire drive more closely. It looks pretty nice, although outside of all the Titan Masters I've seen, he's pretty much unpainted. The head itself is painted and designed, but there isn't a whole lot going for the Titan Master in this mode. As stated before, you can allow him to sit inside the little area that's featured on the gun itself. So now, looks like he is on the gun itself, and that's interesting, I think. But on that, that's pretty much it for Hot Rod in his robot mode. We'll now move on to his vehicle mode, which has a lot of reminiscent of the G1 transformation and some of the other Rodimuses we've gotten over the years. First, to make it easy, we're going to open up the flaps so that we get the feet to fold in. So it looks something like this. To start up, we're going to completely turn the waist 360, since these will form the back legs. Sorry, the back of the vehicle mode, should I say. Looks like this. When you snap the arms together, we're going to open up this flap here, and then fold up this flap, since it'll fold up and form the front of the vehicle. We're going to pull this back, turn it around via the mushroom peg, and keep it like this for now, since this will form the back part of the spoiler. And then we're going to plug these together, and these will fold together inside. Make sure that the feet actually fold into the cavity a bit there, since you do need to have a little bit of clearance in order to fully transform it like that. We're going to push the arms down, which can be a little bit tricky, but once you do, it will be able to plug into place. Get this secured again. And now we'll make sure that the spoiler pieces on the sides, well, the exhaust pieces, connect into the little open area there. It can be a little bit tricky since there is some clearance problems you need to play around with. And I realized what I forgot. You're actually supposed to fold in the hands. And that's what's causing the clearance issues. So it looks like that. And then we'll be able to secure them in like so. And to finish off the transformation, we're just going to push this down. And now we got Hot Rod in his vehicle mode. It does look really nice, and I think Hasbro did a fantastic job on this update. While I did like the classics design of Rodimus pretty well, I think Hasbro has definitely upgraded the character design for this particular version of the character. This hood can open so that you can actually put in his Titan Master. Just gonna put him into sitting position, and then he'll be able to sit in no problem. You don't even need to move the hands, which is nice. And it does still secure down nicely, even with him inside. You can actually plug the weapons onto the sides. However, another place where you could put it, via these two pegs here, you can actually put it onto the engine piece there. And now you got him fully armed up like this. Although it does get in the way of view, so it's probably not the best option. He does roll pretty nicely in this mode. The wheels are plastic once again, but as long as you get it secured down, it should be able to roll pretty decently. Now we're going to take a quick comparison of some of the other Rodimus / Hot Rod toys we've gotten over the years now. And here's the new Hot Rod next to some of the other Rodimus / Hot Rod figures I got in over the years, and I think he does look really nice as an update next to the other counterparts. Obviously the G1 toy is the smallest out of the 4 different variations. However, most of the designs have maintained pretty much the main overall design we've gotten over the years for the character. Next, it was the Classics version, which was the closest to the full-on update we got over the years. And then we obviously had the animated version, which obviously is not an update to the character, more like the actual adaptation of the character within the animated series, leading up to the new Titans Return version, which I find far superior compared to the other releases. And before we get, we're going to take a look at the character card. The character card is obviously something that all the figures in the main line has included so far, and it's some pretty decent stats for the character. So overall, I think this is a fantastic release, especially if you're a fan of Hot Rod. I highly recommend picking this up. It does have a few faults here and there, but it's mainly towards the spoiler piece, but the overall sculpt and design is fantastic in my opinion, and it's a really nice Hot Rod we got this time around. Hopefully we'll see a Rodimus Prime in the future, but for now, this is the best version of Hot Rod we got up to this point. I got this at Amazon since I finally was able to get a hold of it via a third-party sale, which apparently was TF sourced on Amazon, so it's kind of cool to actually get the figure in person finally, since I've not been able to find the figure, which is the same reason why I've not been able to find Double Cross up to this point. And it's really unfortunate that Hasbro hasn't really upped their distribution with this particular wave. But hopefully, by the end of February, we might be able to get more of these releases out. So anyways, please kind of subscribe and check out Hero Club and Hirotaku. Also check me on Twitter at Darkon633. And don't forget to check down the other channels down below. Please check the little bell at the screen in order to see my content go as soon as it goes up. And I'm back with more Transformers reviews and more. And I'll be seeing you later, YouTube. Bye.